When the judge slammed his gavel, my sister Lisa grabbed my hand under the table. We didn't cheer, we didn't cry, we just smirked. 16 years of hell. Lawyers, family betrayals, whispers that we were greedy brats. And now, we had just won 99% of a $13.5 million estate. That included the $11.5 million Manhattan brownstone my stepmother swore on her perfect little pearls we would never touch. And the best part? Valerie wasn't even alive to watch her empire burn. She was already rotting in a grave while the daughters she tried to erase were declared the rightful heirs. But let me take you back because you need to understand just how far betrayal will go before karma drags it back into the light.
My name's Andrea. My sister Lisa and I grew up in New Jersey, raised by our dad, Kurt. He wasn't born with money. He built it brick by brick, working insane hours, buying fixer-upper properties in Brooklyn and Manhattan when everyone else called him crazy. By the time we were in college, Dad had built a small empire. Brownstones, stocks, cash, and enough investments to make his daughter's futures secure. Enter Valerie. Valerie was the type of woman who turned heads at country clubs. Botox smooth, manicured nails, hair always dyed that suspicious shade of totally natural blonde. No kids of her own, but a flock of nieces and nephews she spoiled rotten. To us, she pretended to be bonus mom. To Dad, she was arm candy and a second chance at happiness. But deep down, she resented us, the daughters of the first wife, the competition. In 1993, Dad and Valerie made a pact. Not written, not notarized, just a solemn agreement at the dining room table after Sunday dinner. He promised her everything if he went first. She promised that when she died, what was left would flow to us, his girls. I know because I was there. Lisa, too. Dad looked at us across the table and said, "Don't worry, girls, this is locked. You'll be taken care of. Nothing changes that." Valerie smiled, then fake, and nodded. "Of course, Kurt, they're your daughters." That was the night we trusted her. That was our mistake. When Dad died in 2007, we were gutted. Valerie wore black and played the grieving widow, crocodile tears and all. But the mask slipped fast. Within months, she started rewriting her will. First revision, more to her nephews. Second, we were practically erased. By the fourth draft, Lisa and I were crumbs on the bottom of her estate plan. She threw parties in that brownstone, our father's house, introducing her nieces and nephews as her real family. I'll never forget standing there while one of them, drunk on champagne, smirked at me and said, "You know, none of this will be yours, right? Aunt Val made sure of that." That was the day grief turned to rage. Lisa and I knew Dad's promise had to mean something, but proving a verbal agreement made decades ago, that was a suicide mission. Still, we had nothing left to lose, so we fought. Court was brutal. 16 days of testimony, lawyers trying to twist our grief into greed. Opposing counsel painted us as bitter stepdaughters clawing at money that was never meant for us. Every word they said was like acid. And honestly, for a while, I thought maybe they'd win. After all, what judge puts millions on the line for a verbal agreement made in the 90s? Then came the moment. Lisa and I were knee-deep in Dad's old storage unit in Jersey, the kind of place that smelled like dust, motor oil, and ghosts. Piles of boxes, old receipts, family photo albums. We'd spent hours sweating in that concrete tomb, ready to give up when Lisa cracked open a box labeled camping. Inside, between moth-eaten blankets and a broken lantern, was an old camcorder and a stack of VHS tapes. I almost tossed it aside, but something made me slide the first tape into an ancient player hooked to a tiny TV in the corner. And then we heard it. The screen flickered, grainy footage of a summer day in the park.
Dad's voice behind the camera, warm and proud. He said, "Look at my girls," filming as Lisa and I, no older than 10 and 12, chased each other with a neon frisbee across the grass. Our laughter filled the air. Valerie was on the blanket, laying out a checkered cloth, wine glasses, sandwiches packed in wax paper. Dad panned the camera over to her, and then his voice shifted, lower, serious. "Val, promise me something." You can see her glance up, squinting at him in the sunlight. "What now, Kurt?" "The girls," Dad said. "When we're gone, everything we've built, the house, the stocks, all of it, it goes to them. You can live in it, use it, but when you're gone, it's theirs. You promise me that?" There was a pause. You could hear the frisbee whizzing past, Lisa shouting, me laughing. Valerie sighed, almost annoyed, and waved a hand. "Yes, Kurt, I promise. The girls get it. Stop worrying." Dad zoomed back in on us, two little girls with messy hair and scraped knees, our future unknowingly sealed in that one casual exchange. Lisa and I sat frozen in that storage unit, staring at the screen like we'd just seen a ghost. My hands shook. Tears burned hot down my face, not from grief, but from the sheer poetic cruelty of it. Dad had recorded the very promise she tried to erase. That tape wasn't just evidence. It was a resurrection. Dad, dead and buried for years, standing up in court to testify for us from beyond the grave. When our lawyer played that footage in court, the air snapped. Gasps echoed. You could have heard a pin drop. The judge leaned forward. Opposing counsel went sheet white, and the jury of spectators, they knew right then Valerie's lies were finished. The picnic tape swung the pendulum. It wasn't just testimony anymore. It was living, breathing proof.
The ruling came swift. The judge declared the promise binding. Valerie's rewritten wills were void. The brownstone, the shares, and the cash, all $13.5 million, was ours. Lisa squeezed my hand, her face wet with tears. Me, I laughed, low and bitter, because karma had a sense of humor. Valerie spent years scheming to erase us, and in the end, it was her own voice, her dismissive little, "Yes, Kurt, I promise," that destroyed her. I almost wished she was alive to see it, to watch her nieces' faces when they realized the gravy train was over, to hear Dad's voice booming through that courtroom, reminding everyone exactly who he built it for. People called it historic. I call it poetry, because sometimes revenge isn't smashing champagne glasses or screaming in someone's face. Sometimes it's a dusty VHS tape dug out of a storage unit, playing in a silent courtroom, and watching your enemies crumble under the weight of their own words. So I'll ask you, if you were me, would you have stopped digging and walked away, or would you have kept clawing until you found that one piece of proof that could burn their lies to the ground? Drop your take in the comments. Would you have walked away or kept digging until you found the smoking gun like we did? If you think karma showed up the second that VHS tape rolled in court, smash that like button. And subscribe for more true stories of betrayal, revenge, and the kind of justice no one ever sees coming. Because sometimes the sweetest revenge comes with your dad's voice testifying from beyond the grave.